Not shouting "Badia" at city council meetings. I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station.
This is Cindy Bray, the host of Heartbeat Radio.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star
This
Time.
is Paul Schneiderman today on the 73rd edition of
Hey,
Sports
y'all,
and Stuff
welcome
on
to
Rainier
Travelers
Avenue
Guides.
Radio.
It is Princess Ron Risha Godmothers. You guys know me.
Dirty Harry.
Your home for information about the impact of the
And
coronavirus.
amongst many things that's difficult about this virus is that it prevents
it's been
people from
devastating.
gathering. So
They're really heartbreaking stories of people who have.
There isn't anyone that isn't impacted.
shutting our schools down, including all athletic programs.
Your first-hand accounts.
I did take the test, and I found out that I was positive.
A lot of people who know me, I'm still the first person they know.
But it was almost like you were patient zero for South Seattle. Your story of community coming together.
Partner very heavily with Tacoma Urban League, who is doing some amazing work in response.
We're doing things for small businesses. We're giving out loans for small businesses.
And so I think it's very important that we have leaders who feel
I mean, I cannot tell you we're calling 20, 30, 40 members.
This crisis in our community, we've been working to address it.
Rainier Avenue Radio, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
DJ Dirty John.
Karen Z with Rainier Avenue Radio.
Sergio McCool. RainierAvenueRadio.org. Global impact, global presence.
Broadcast. Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world and our weekly coverage of the impact of the communities. This is a continuation of our series. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us again here. And then again, now we are aware of the fact that we are and more folks listening internationally at one point.
You probably have questions about COVID vaccines. Here are some answers about how they're being made.
How are COVID vaccines being produced faster?
Usually, vaccine testing and production are separate steps. But because of the pandemic, vaccines are being developed on parallel tracks. So both steps are happening just at the same time.
How are the vaccines being tested?
Right now, several different COVID vaccines are in testing. Each go through multiple clinical trials with up to thousands of volunteers.
How do vaccines get approved?
Not all COVID vaccine versions will make it to the final stages of testing and approval. Produced vaccines that do not pass clinical trials will be destroyed. But for those that do pass, a team of medical experts will examine test results and possible side effects. If the vaccine is effective and safe, it gets approved and gets to you. Go to covidvaccinewa.org to learn more. A message from the state of Washington.
Hello.
Can't get enough of Rainier Avenue
What's up?
Radio.world.
About to be live up in here. What's up? What's up? What's up? I see my face. That means I'm live. And if you can't see my face, hi. I'm Anthony Tackett, your host for the day. Welcome to our Rainier Avenue Radio Call to Consciousness, a celebration and education of Black History Month. I'm Anthony Tackett, local filmmaker and founder of the Seattle Filmmakers of the African Diaspora, 390 members strong. All month long in February at Rainier Avenue Radio, we've been showcasing musical performances, dance expeditions, race and justice discussions, and workshops like the recent Reparations Without Gentrification, 10 Ways to Create Wealth Building in the Black Community show. Every Friday, Rainier Avenue Radio has hosted our Friday Family Film Night, showcasing films by Black filmmakers. We screened Curtis Elerson's film, A Familiar Lie, One Vibe Experience by my guy Simon Okelo, A Change in the Family, a Sam Hampton film, Aaron Dixon's documentary, My People Are Rising. Tonight, I'll be screening my films, Black June and Malik. That's right. I'm just excited as you guys are. Last week, we hosted a panel on sales, marketing, and distribution. Tonight's panel will be equity in the film industry, in the Seattle film industry. Special thanks to the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle for their support in Call to Consciousness, a Black History Month celebration. Tonight, my guests we have Chris Swenson from the Seattle Office of Film and Music. We have Vivian from the Northwest Film Forum, Virginia Bogert from Laughing Dog. We have Winfield Ezell from Obsidian 360, and my good friend, buddy, old pal, Cleven Ticeson from North 182nd LLC, a film company. Hello, everybody. How are you tonight?
Hello.
There we are.
My people.
Wow, that was a cool pop on the screen.
Yeah, you like that? We have wizards in the back end. I've never met the wizard, but I know he exists.
I don't see my camera, Anthony.
I don't see yours either. You're gray today. Talk to the tech. He's in chat.
His own thing.
Meantime, while you're working on that camera, we're just gonna kick this off because we have a lot to talk about in very little time, and so I just want to make sure that we get time to talk about racial equity in the film industry. I personally would love to start this off with Chris Swenson. He brought me into the film task force as co-chairman, and I do wonder why. I know why, but I want to know what your goal is, what the intent of this group that we have going on.
With the film task force. Hey, Anthony. Hey, everybody. Winfield, it's good to see you driving somewhere.
Yeah. I'm actually,
as always. I think the last time we talked. I love it. Well, thanks very much, Anthony, for putting this panel together and for inviting me to be a part of it. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Cool.
Okay.
Anthony, you're talking about the Film Task Force, and the Film Task Force is a year-long advisory group that the City of Seattle and the Office of Film and Music put together based on multiple months of outreach and listening to the film community and industry. It was put together for two reasons. One, to address the inequity in the city's support, or how the city can address the inequity and the lack of diversity in the film industry, and also to put together a film commission that is a long-standing or an eternal body of advisory folks from the industry and the community who then can in perpetuity ensure equity and diversity in the film industry. This is, you and I first met when you invited me to the African diaspora and the Black Dot meeting several years ago. And to be super frank and honest, I was just looking up just before this call here. The city of Seattle is, I think, ranked the 12th whitest city in America. And from my previous work before coming to the city of Seattle, the Office of Film and Music, I was a production designer, freelance production designer. And I know firsthand that the film industry in Seattle is also very, very white. So I don't know if it's whiter than LA or New York, but I know that because we are a white city and because it's generally a white industry, we wanted to make sure that we are setting some platform up so that we can address this. And so that's the function of the Film Task Force. I'll stop there because I know that we're going to talk a little bit more about the development of the Film Commission and its intent and the work that's being done on that. But that really is the reason, we asked you to be a part of it and asked you to help lead it because of your stature in the community and also in the industry and your experience in the film industry as well.
Well, I am flattered and honored to be in that position. It's been an amazing ride working with the folks that you see here, and we have plenty more folks who you met last week, a couple more, and then we have a solid group. I want to bring Vivian into this conversation, who is executive director of my favorite home, the Northwest Film Forum. What is your take on this, and what kind of steps are you doing over there at Northwest Film Forum?
Well, we're doing a lot. I think for us, the conversation is around systemic change, is really around, building new structures, at least for Film Forum specifically. Within the Film Task Force, I think it's been a lot of sort of figuring out how to intentionally do outreach into communities that have been left out of the conversation around film, and empowering them to be in positions where they can help guide the conversation with the city a bit better. But yeah, on the Film Forum, it's like a different side of it because we have a little more freedom to create new structures, and have thus far, like today, for example, we had a focus group with a bunch of artists around the city to figure out how we can have more equitable grant making practices, and because we can build it from the ground up. So having more of those opportunities as an organization to not just, amend structures that are broken, but say like, we want to do something else altogether, which has been exciting.
Excellent. Virginia, how are you today? It's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. Actually, I just did see you this morning, didn't I?
Yeah, it's been quite the day. Packed day. We got a lot in with the document. We will talk about that hopefully later. We'll have to ask permission, I suppose, from Chris. But I do want to know, you are with Women in Film and you have your company, Laughing Dog. What kind of things have you noticed in the equity space, and how are you addressing that?
Well, I'll get into that, but first I wanted to address something, the question that you just asked prior to this. And I think if you talk about the film industry in Seattle, you could be talking about the film industry in other parts of the country too, because it is similar. There's a dearth of BIPOC and LGBTQ and women filmmakers' voices. And I think except in places like Atlanta and LA, with people like Shonda Rhimes and Shondaland and Tyler Perrio and his studio system, you find more access there. But overall, I think that distribution outlets and creators and producers are becoming increasingly more aware of the public's appetite for diverse content. And like I always say, the world is not a Hallmark movie. And you're leaving out a whole swath of humanity and those stories and storytellers, and that just doesn't make sense. We want diverse voices to tell these stories, and we want to be able to see through different cultural lenses, and that's how you grow and breathe and live. But frankly, it's hard to get into the film industry here and anywhere. And if to answer you the question that you asked me about like what my organization is doing, or my company, is just me, it's just me. So don't tell anybody that Laughing Dog Pictures is just one person. I occasionally get to hire people, but for the most part, I get hired, as a director. But for Women in Film, one of our recent initiatives is that we are offering free memberships to Women in Film starting on Martin Luther King's birthday, January 15th, and going throughout Black History Month. So that's one thing we're trying to do to create parity. And we'll probably do that again next year. And the other thing, if I can go on, if you don't mind me going on.
We have time.
In 2013, a friend and I started the Post Alley Film Festival, which was one day of short films by women filmmakers. And as curator, I go out of my way to try to find diverse voices and curate in that way. Because the world wants to see that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate the efforts and the work that you're putting in. I'm looking forward to seeing some of my peers in that festival. Speaking of peers, I mean, you're all my peers, but Winfield, he's my guy over there. It's all smiles, always on the road.
It's nice.
How you
to
doing,
see
Win?
you.
How you doing, Win? What's your experience in this space? I know you're doing a lot of work with different organizations addressing this directly. Let's hear what you got going on.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry I'm in the car. I was hustling home, but we just bought our first company vehicle up here in the Northwest, so I was test driving that and all of that good stuff. Anthony, we got us a van up here, brother. But Anthony's been on the road with us a lot. But when it comes to, inclusion, equity, diversity, all of those, terms that we use in order to really try to find balance within the industry. I think one of the things that I'm doing and I'm concerned about is I want to make sure it's not optics. I want to make sure I know that it's very easy, especially by brother Chris, who gave us that, Seattle being the 12th whitest city in the country. Sometimes optics is what ends up being the answer. And I want to make sure that, my calling is to show that we are, and when I say we, I mean, I'm talking about my community right now, African-American community, that we want to engage at every level. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm bringing my company to the Northwest. That's one of the things I've been working on since I left. And really, I never left. I just expanded. I remember I told James Keblis that I'm not leaving, man. I'm going to go down here and then we're going to bring it all together, because I think that's one thing important is everywhere I've been, people are intrigued by Seattle, intrigued by the Northwest. I mean, of course, they all think it rains a lot, but I'm quick to tell my people down south, not the type of rain y'all talking about. I mean, y'all would call this a misty drizzle, if anything else. But what I want to ensure is that we're doing the groundwork, that, my solution is to bring my company here and compete, and to be in the industry so that, Anthony will tell you one thing when we take our crew out, folks see this van pull up and 5 brothers jump out, 1 bald-headed and 4 with dreadlocks. And when we move how we move, because, first of all, Anthony and I both, come from the Seattle film community way back. So we bring that level of discipline, that level of expertise, and the way we move over here to that. And I can tell you that we turn heads. And even in the Black community, Atlanta is probably one of the blackest cities in the country. And when we come, the sense of pride that comes and see us doing a professional job and those things, you won't have to make a lot of effort. The industry will handle itself. It'll come in. So I think with, I know that Washington Film Works is doing some stuff. I'm the vice chair of the Whip Smart Foundation Board, and Amy Lillard is somebody who is front and center on what we're doing here. So I'm encouraged. My thing is, let's just make sure this is more than optics, and let's be inclusive at every level. That's what I'm looking to bring with my company, with my hiring practices. When I hire, I hope to, within the next year to 18 months, to have 15 employees, 20 employees up here between Tacoma and Seattle. So that's what we're doing. And we just announced a partnership with the Alma Mater, so we have our first physical space downtown Tacoma in the Alma Mater building. So we're being action oriented. We're kind of walking how we talk, and that's my contribution, and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Good to hear, man. All good news. Brother Cleven Ticeson, how are you, my man?
I'm
Good to
doing
see you
great,
here.
Anthony. Thank you, man.
All right. You brought your radio voice today, huh? Okay.
No, hey, I just got my voice, baby.
That's what's up. All right, man. Let's talk about you. I know you've been spending some time with was it PBS before retiring, and now you out into the real world, as we like to say. So how's that been treating you? What's been going on in your world?
Well, Anthony, it's been going pretty well, actually. As you mentioned, after a few decades at PBS, I retired in 2015, or aspired in 2015, and immediately went to task with North 182nd LLC, some dear friends that I admire, the Silver Brothers. They produced some wonderful films, and they had a wonderful film out that caught my attention. It was an old story with a new twist. The savior of the day happened to be indigenous young man and very well-to-do, so forth and so on. But what we're doing in terms of diversity and inclusion is we're implementing what we call the Diversity Film Initiative in collaboration with the Northwest Film Forum. And the purpose of it is to train BIPOC youth, ages 18 to 24, in the art of filmmaking, from the very entry level all the way up to distribution and marketing.
Nice.
And it's a mammoth task, but we're going to give them hands-on experience creating a long format motion picture. And we're releasing our second one coming up here in a few short days. So it's going to be a tremendous, I think, work of passion for us.
That's exciting. This is all good stuff. You guys inspire me so much. I'm so glad I met you on this journey. I want to bring it back over to Chris, if that's all right, to get a little more into the nitty gritty of what we've been working on. And feel free to tap anybody else who has, some information, because we've been working on these initiatives together. So, want to take it away, Chris, and let us know what you got.
Well, I think that, from my perspective, as far as the work that the city is doing, I really appreciate Winfield and Cleve's comments on, hey, this is where we actually need to do the work instead of just talk the talk. And from my experience with the city, there's a lot of great racial and equity and initiatives and internal processes that address that, but it's kind of replaying the record over and over again. And the trick is to actually enact and get the work to actually happen. And I think we're in a unique time right now where we can do that. And so the work of the Film Task Force, which I believe 4 of us here at the panel are actually on. There's Vivian, Cleve, Virginia, Anthony, and tell me if I'm missing somebody. The work is really intentional about that. There is a unique opportunity right now to engage and actually write law that supports an ordinance that is related to film advisory. And with law, you're able to really establish a long-standing format and framework for the future of how that advisory works. And so all the credit goes to the members of the Film Task Force who, on their first meeting back in February of 2020, said, hey, we're not diverse enough, and then invited more members in to be a more diverse group of people. And throughout the year, working towards that goal of creating some way to make sure that this is established in law and in ordinance so that it can be functional moving forward. One of the last things that the most recent things that the Film Task Force did was to contract with an advisor on how to build that into the Film Commission ordinance language, which is what is the process, which is where the process is right now. And I'm going to thank you for allowing me to tap to other folks. I'd love to hand it over to Virginia or to Vivian or to Cleve to talk about that process and how that is being worked into this. Can I do that handoff? And I'll let you guys fight over who wants to share the information.
Nice. Equity volleyball. I love it. Who's got it? Who's got the long arms or the nimble feet?
Well, I can start off a little bit, but I want everybody else to chime in. One of the things that I've appreciated about being on the Equity and then Inclusion Committee is that we got to work with Elmer Dixon, who is a civil rights icon and a diversity educator. Some of his clients are like United Airlines and Microsoft and Pepsi Company and the MacArthur Foundation. And he did a training session with us that was just eye-opening. And we have been we've been creating a document that speaks specifically to our film industry using his template. And one of the things that he talks about is making a business case for diversity. I mean, if you can't reach people on their, their moral and ethical and social justice issues, you can reach them by saying that this makes economic sense. Diversity makes economic sense. And so that's the kind of thing that we're that we're doing. And we're also recommending that there be comprehensive diversity training in the Seattle film community and, in OFM and in the Film Commission. So that's one of the things that we're, putting forth. One of the things that came out of that I actually love that he said is that a diverse workforce enhances the quality of problem solving and decision making and innovation. And if there is one industry that has all of those three, where you have to think on your feet and sometimes you have to, create something fantastic from scratch, it's the film industry. And when you have more minds and more diverse minds working on a solution to a creation, then, you can't go wrong. And then I'm now going to pass it over to Vivian or Cleve, or you, Anthony. Come on.
I'll comment on something.
This is the best part. I don't have to answer my questions.
I'll comment on something. I would love to just sort of, I don't know who's listening out there, but just give some context as to what even the Film Task Force and Film Commission are. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, good idea.
Go for it.
Cool. So, I mean, the Film Task Force is basically, it's a group that's working with the city to figure out a strategy for creating a film commission, which is a group that needs to be approved by city council, that can sort of serve as an intermediary between the film community and like legislative bodies to be able to recommend policy, including diversity and equity related things within, the Office of Film and Music, or policies that might affect film productions and whatnot. So I think, I don't know why I'm saying that. I guess I wanted to let people know what it actually was and the importance of this body, because there isn't always a direct through line between grassroots groups and, legislative bodies. And it's even a privilege to be at a place where you could even be on a film task force or a film commission. So I think there's a lot of interest in terms of, coming from equity and diversity of how to create better communication within groups in the community that maybe have historically not seen support from the government, or, felt like they were welcome into these spaces. So there's a lot of like repair work that needs to happen. And I think that's part of what this group is hoping to do, and also hoping to build sort of DEI, guidance around. That is it.
Well, I certainly see the value in this group. I love taking it back to the people of the Seattle Filmmakers African Diaspora, and it really gives us hope. We formed this group out of frustration of being what did we call it, Virginia? We call it the token, being the token. It's an inside joke. I'm sorry. Being the token on productions, and I put everybody together. I kept a contact list with folks that I meet, one at a time on a production for the 20 years I've been doing production. And we sat together in the round table when we saw the faces. And maybe a year or two later, we invited Chris Swenson, so we can hear him talk about the Seattle Film Commission, because a lot of people in the group didn't even know about it. Right. And so it really gave people hope that the city is for them, so they don't have to move out, but they can continue working here. It certainly kept me here, which has been good, because the work is decent. So I appreciate what the Film Task Force has been doing. We have a commercial break coming up right on time. So we're going to go ahead and take that break. We got a 3-minute pause. We will be back at 6:30. Enjoy the commercial. Stay tuned. All right, y'all.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not using my GPS to navigate the land of 1,000 dances, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
A peer-reviewed study published in the February issue of the journal Health Affairs showed that many for-profit rehab programs charged inflated fees and used misleading sales practices to attract patients without evaluating their actual medical needs. Per NPR, the people answering the phones when a team of Yale University Health Studies researchers called weren't medical professionals. They were salespeople using aggressive marketing tactics to get credit card numbers while demanding a lot of cash up front, averaging more than $17,000. Researchers often found the sales pitch at for-profit clinics often focused on things that have nothing to do with medical care. The team found most programs don't provide evidence-based care using medications such as buprenorphine and methadone. These findings, based on data collected in 2019, come as far more Americans are dying from drug overdoses during the pandemic, more than 81,000 last year.
And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, all day Saturday. This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue. Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets. Big Poppy.
Star Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pierce. This is Star Time.
Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour, K-Fox Night.
Looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice, D-Money and
Myself, D-Money. Nice Eyes Patron.
Taylor Hart.
Cynthia, Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina. Chad Cheddar. Northwest Rap Gang.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio Lacour. Go to the phone line. Tell them who we talking.
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams is your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojo Mondays. This is KZ of KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojo Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on Rainier Avenue Radio.
The 7th annual Jackson Street Jazz Walks virtual concert will be held February 27th and 28th at 7 p.m. It's free to the public with all donations benefiting the Central Area Senior Center. Join us for the Delvon Lamar Organ Trio, Eugenie Jones, Alex Dugdale, the Devon and Donovan Lewis Drumoff, and more. For more information, please visit jacksonstreetjazz.org. That's www.jacksonstreetjazz.org.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
All right, y'all. We are back. Welcome to the second half of the program. I do want to reintroduce our guests. We have Chris Swenson from Seattle Office of Film and Music. We have Mr. Cleven Ticeson from North 182nd LLC, Virginia Bogart from Laughing Dog, and Winfield Ezell from Obsidian 360. Good to see you all back.
And Vivian.
Refreshed.
Vivian. You forgot about me, Anthony.
Oh, and Vivian Hua, the Northwest Film Forum. I never forget about you. I like to say the best for last. I mean, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
And so, so we're going to pick up from where we left off. We were talking about the exciting Seattle Film Task Force, and the work that we've been doing and putting in. I just want to pick up from where we left off. Winfield or Cleven? Do you want to?
Well, if Winfield doesn't mind, I'll go here. And I want to thank Anthony because I received a phone call early one morning, and it was Anthony Tackett, very brilliant artist, creative type. Anthony called and he said, Cleve, I want you to consider being on the Film Task Force. I said, okay, why? He said, well, we're doing this thing called equity and inclusivity. And guess what? I am the only melanated person there. And so I took that very seriously. I had met Anthony maybe about a year prior. He came into the station, PBS, with a dear friend, a cousin, as a matter of fact, that I respect very much.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I took Anthony's call very seriously. I'm talking about Joaquin Garrett
Mm-hmm.
of Africa Town.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent my bio in and, of course, got involved with the Film Task Force. Concurrently, I received a call from the Silver Brothers about North 182nd LLC. They had told me that when they came up with something concrete, they'd call me and make me an offer, and they did. What I find with the Seattle Film Task Force, I know there's a lot of policies, a lot of bureaucratic paperwork that we're doing, and a lot of planning and designing, to include BIPOCs and underserved community youth into this great industry that we call the film industry. My concern, however, is that we simply can't wait for others to do this work.
Right.
We are so far behind, and I'm talking about Native Americans and Indigenous African Americans and others, that those of us that have the wherewithal need to step up to the plate and get some of this work done. And so that's what we at North 182nd LLC are doing. The Silvers have 2 films out. The second one, as I said, will be released this week or early next week. And then we're working on a romantic comedy, Table for Two, and a couple of other things are in the kitty as well. But what's important is that we allow the creative youth who look like me and others on the panel here and from underserved communities to get a sense of what this industry could be like for them. A lot of our youth are falling through the cracks simply because they have to take on tasks that may not really speak to their hearts. And so we're going to create the new generation of filmmakers. And that's what we're committed to. And we're not going to wait on the city to do it. We know the city has good intentions, but we're not going to wait on all of that because we don't have to. Wait broke the wagon down. So we're going to do our part. We're going to do our part. So those of you that want to assist us, we ask you to step up to the plate, contact us, make a donation, and so we could do this work, get this work done.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the things I like to encourage with this group. When I got invited into this group, I was, to be honest, I was warned by some of the elders in the community. And so I use this as an opportunity to meet the people spearheading these groups and to be intentional in meeting them and working with them and planning as many ideas as I can. So, whether this group works or not, I don't want to jinx it. I believe this is the group that can pull it off, is to plant as many seeds as I can. So Northwest Film Forum has new ideas, new approaches. Women in Film will be more open-minded when it comes to bringing in people into the group or just outreach. Even Chris himself, he has many legs. I see a nice guitar behind him. Maybe he'll jam out with some brothers and sisters, more often, more frequently. And so it's good to see that happening. I hear the good gospel. In fact, I kind of want to sidetrack myself and bring it back to Vivian, who created or is responsible for or is a part of or founded the BIPOC Facebook group. Do you want to talk about that at all a little bit? I love what's happening over there.
Oh, there's all sorts of things happening. We just have a bunch of BIPOC sort of filmmaker initiatives right now. There's a Facebook group. We're hoping to get off the ground. We had sort of this spreadsheet with different BIPOC filmmakers as a resource, but wanting to turn that into a website that might be searchable, creating more mentorship connections for people. And we also run a weekly BIPOC filmmaker happy hour that has become an amazing networking space, but also just therapy space, I want to say. Yeah, it's very good.
That sounds about right. That's
what
I like to call it.
Right.
That's what's up. Yeah, fun part about sidetrack, you forget where you were. So,
Hey, Anthony, can I say something?
Certainly.
My grandmother, if she was here, she would have hit me a long time ago because I should have did this up front. You know, I want to thank you, Anthony, for this. You're monitoring, doing the monitoring, the moderation for this forum during Black History Month. I think it's been phenomenal. But I also want to thank Tony B.
Oh yeah,
and the work that guy is putting in. Tony B is a legend extraordinaire. He is a gem, and he's doing phenomenal work everywhere you go in the community. I don't care if it's a game, a basketball game, football game, what have you. Tony B is there with his crew, with his team, and so I want to thank Tony for staying on task as well.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
Also, if I could, first of all, Cleve, every time you say something, you talk about ground, I want to say amen. You know, down south, we just be in the amen corner, you know. One thing I do want to say, though, and first of all, I concur that I believe that what the city is doing is great. You know, working over on Whip Smart, I'm seeing what the state has got going on. And I was on the early city advisory boards that led up to that. And so you know, the seriousness that they are putting in and that we're putting in is to be applauded. Now, one thing that I definitely want to say, and because I want us to keep it real here, I mean, I always tell folks, if you don't want it real, you might not want to bring wind up around here, because there are issues. And one of the issues that I see is we're going to have to fortify helping. Not even helping. I want to look at it because I think it's a value for both sides. We've got to find a way to put filmmakers and producers together, creators and producers. That's one of the issues that I've had probably since I expanded and went back down to Atlanta, which was before their incentive. I got to watch Atlanta go from zero to they're going faster than 100 miles per hour to the speed of light that they're doing now. But I think we definitely have to, if we're going to create a true pathway, we've got to find a way to plug everybody together. Because one thing that I have found hard, I've had conversations with great producers along the way. I brought different projects, and they all say, "Oh man, that's great. But the last thing they say is, "Let me know how that works out." You know, and so as much as it's about training, as much as it's about access, I truly believe that we're going to have to find a way to do business together. And my good friend and comrade James Keblis and I are working on some things, but that was a challenge that I put to James. I said, man, I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure that white folks want to work with black folks as far as do business, where we each got a stake and we each got money that we're going to make, because the only time I really see it is if folks are helping out or training or some sort of program that, you know, gives access, those things, which I love and are great. And if you know me, I will mentor and come do anything anybody asks me to do. But one of the things we've got to find a way to do business. I mean, we have Chio Hadari Coker here, who was the showrunner on Luke Cage, who wrote Notorious, the script for that movie, right here in Seattle. In the first film task force that the city did, he was on there, and that's when he talked so much praise about Seattle, you know. And then I'm gonna be real, when I went to the Seattle Film Summit, they were carting him around like he was an Uber celebrity, and the truth of the matter is all this little black filmmakers was running around in the line behind him trying to get in contact. I talked with Stacey Adams there, and I was like, hey, when Debbie Allen came to town, because Anthony worked on that show, and Debbie Allen asked Anthony, hey, where's the black film community? I remember I happened to be in town and we were working, and Anthony's like, man, she was really looking and she was so cool. And so when I talked with Stacey Adams, I said to her, hey, you know, Debbie Allen was here, she was asking where we were. How can we do some sort of thing where she gets to meet, like, you know, those of us who in the African diaspora group that Anthony put together. And she was like, wow, I never really thought about that. But she mentioned that when Ted Danson was here, he came and spoke at a school there because somebody asked him. And so I think that's where we've got to engage beyond just when we're looking for diversity. We've got to engage beyond just when we're looking around and we don't see somebody, you know, and that's where I feel like if we look for ways to do business together, you're going to find that that piece of the industry, that piece of the culture will start filling out itself. And I did not pay that person to turn their headlights on me to give me a spotlight while I was doing it. But that's really what I wanted to add to the, you know, to the mix, because we have to talk about some of those challenging things. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, you know, that's been one of my greatest barriers that I want to break. I want to do business here. I want a film to come out of here that we put together. I mean, there are great producers here. On this panel, the panel last week, I mean, Susan LaSalle was in the house. And so I really want to make that emphasis, because that's something that I think we can work on, because I think if we add that to the mix of the solution, then all of a sudden you'll start seeing the solutions become, you know, self-fulfilling, and they'll be building on themselves. So I just wanted to add that into the conversation, because I think it's important to talk about some of the real life challenges that have been going on all along. You know, I came to Seattle in 2000, not knowing anybody. And man, you know, but I'm a Seattle filmmaker through and through, because that's where I hone my skills. And I love the independent film community that we have here, because even Atlanta is great, but they don't have what we have here. The Megan Griffiths, I came up in that crew, and you know, the Dave Wilsons, Kirk Nordstrom, Nimble Productions. I mean, I can go on and think back, Chris Christensen, all the cats we were watching, what they were doing. If y'all remember the movie Police Beat, I mean, we had a lot of things pumping and happening, and I think we can churn that up again.
Definitely.
Can I comment on something?
Yes.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, just on the topic of keeping it real. I mean, what I want to see, and I think a lot of BIPOC creators want to see, is, you know, there's so much gatekeeping, and like people just want investment in their vision. And a lot of times, you know, people who are ponying up the money may not understand the visions of some BIPOC creators, but that's like part of the issue. I think that there are amazing people telling amazing stories that perhaps like a lot of the privileged people with access don't fully understand, and therefore do not invest in those communities and in those stories. So just like more trust-based sort of like, I might not fully understand your vision, but like these projects are serving a community and serving a need, but not being seen, if that makes sense.
Amen.
Right. This goes back to that distribution conversation we had the other week. I do want to just put out there for the folks listening in and watching that we have the opportunity to take questions and answers. So if you want to just type away, or I think there's maybe a call in. I think either way, if you have any questions, just chime in. Best way you can, whether on Facebook, just type it in. We should be able to see it. Just wanted to throw that out there. Chris, what are your thoughts on this about collaborations and partnerships? The city of Seattle have anything up their sleeves to address this?
You know, that's the eternal question: is how to connect with the Jeff Bezoses, Paul Allens,
right,
Bill Gates of the region. You know, I think I love Winfield's comment, and also Vivian's about funding and the relationship of funding to creatives and to filmmakers. The city of Seattle, and I'm hoping that this relays into the Film Commission as well. But the city of Seattle's support and advocacy of the film industry has always been about jobs, businesses, supporting the industry, and creating the opportunity for creatives to come in and make their work. It's never been, from the Office of Film and Music's perspective, it's never been about the content. That's your job as the creative element of that, to make that content. And we're just here to support the way that you can do that. So I'm hoping and expecting that certainly the framework of the Film Commission and the advisory work to the city of Seattle can support that as well. Hopefully that's a good answer or a good connection with what Winfield and Vivian were explaining there.
Definitely.
Yeah, being new to the film industry, coming out of broadcasting, it's interesting to me because the films that we're doing, you're talking 300,000 to $1 million. And, we go out and we raise our money. Now, if there's a pool of money setting aside somewhere, we don't know about that. But we raise our own money. And that underscores, again, the intention is that this is work that needs to be done. We need to tell our stories.
Yes.
And no one else can tell our stories for us. So we have to think big. We have to dream big, and we have to put forth the work to make it happen. So we have to raise the funds to do these things. We have to bring our youth in so that they can have careers in the film industry so that this legacy of storytelling can continue. And with all of that, again, it's nice to be on the task force and, working on policies and trying to help Seattle fulfill its vision of equity and inclusivity. But that's not where it ends. As Win was saying, it's more than that. It's really, we're 400 some years behind, if not more. And we can't wait for anyone to do this for us. We can. So we might as well do it for us. We're proven entities. We have proof of concept. We're doing wonderful feature films, and all of the folks on the panel, we have tremendous allies. So there's no reason why we need to look toward the municipality in order to do this work. If we talk about educating and including and equity for our youth, which is what we're talking about, then we need to not just look at one source of revenue. We need to look at multiple sources of revenue and also multiple paths to enter that intention of creating generations of youthful storytellers in this industry. So, we have to do the work. We can't wait on others to do it, and we can't wait on the city to do it for sure.
Right.
And we always have done that work too, Cleve, to piggyback. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is that we will do the work. I mean, I'm talking about people who go out there every day. I mean, there ain't one of us here that ain't worked on a set with Anthony. And I mean, we know that all we need is to push. I mean, the creators out there, the BIPOC community out there, all the communities out there have folks in there that are going to go do it, that have been going to do it. And so that's why I think as much as there's a lot of effort, I think that there won't be pushback. I think you'll find that it'll just take off. It'll be an energy boost.
Right. And I hope that, in the near future, some sort of policy or initiatives will kick in where the people will just have to reach out more. We're still working on that language, so in a way we can say that without offending people. Speaking of triggering and insensitive, we have a question from Emandis. What actions are being taken to train agents, casting directors, and production companies? Some of the casting notices are triggering and insensitive. Anybody want to take that one?
Well, I mean, that's the point, right? I mean, we don't have enough indigenous people that can oversee these efforts and not be insensitive to those who are not part of the dominant discourse. And that's very important because rather than running people away from this opportunity to be able to create and tell stories and do films, we want to bring them in. We want to compel them to come in and be part of this industry. And unfortunately, we don't have too many points of contact. I mean, unfortunately, Chris, we got to salute Chris because, him coming to this event that you had with the African diaspora and him showing up and then taking that back and then calling you later, Anthony, to be part of the film task force. I mean, that's a tribute to Chris. I got to give it to him. And, Virginia has done the same kinds of things, but what is being done? We have to create this film initiative in order to do it, as a friend of mine would say, from the streets to the suites. From the rooter to the tutor.
Amen.
And to encourage people, just like Dr. Maxine Mims did with Evergreen State College Tacoma campus.
Yeah.
The first time I went to class down there, she said, everybody in here is a genius. So what does that do for your education, huh? That makes you want to apply yourself, as opposed to having the doubt before the benefit. You have the benefit of the doubt. And so this is the kind of thing, this nurturing is very important. And not everyone can do it because not everyone's familiar with the nuances that exist within BIPOCs or underserved community youth. So it's very, very important.
Right. Wow. Appreciate that. As a new member of the Evergreen State College, that makes me happy to hear that you are part of the alumni.
Oh yeah, baby.
Filled with so many surprises, man. You just
we got master cinematographer, Mr. Anthony Tackett in the house. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. So our show's closing to an end. I just want to thank you guys for all coming. This has been a remarkable conversation. I am looking for more questions. We have about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. If anybody wants to chime in on a question for the panelists, if there's anything you want to say in closing, I'm welcome to that as well. Or a follow-up, or an anecdote, or a song.
I'll say one thing, and I think the most important thing that could happen out of the work that we're all doing, what we've been talking about, is that a voice and voices are added to the culture of filmmaking here in Seattle, so that it's not something that we have to go look for. It's already there, and I think that's quite important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fertile ground here. It's true.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah, and everybody here, I'm honored to be here with y'all, and I ditto what Cleve said about Tony B from way back. Those of us who remember Sunday in the community radio spot I used to do on KUBE. That was my first coming from the South. I was like, okay, they're thinking about the community up here in the Northwest. Everybody thinks everything's good up here, So
I'm from the K-Fox days, so
Oh yeah.
my roots are a little deeper here. Been a fan of that man for a while.
And let me just say real quickly here, Tony, I work with Virginia, and we did a documentary, Pike Place Market, Solo City, beautiful HD documentary. And I had the opportunity to work with Virginia as her editor. And I got to tell you, this lady walks the talk. I mean, she actually, her and Susan LaSalle, they have a mutual friend, Rosalind Bell, who wrote a wonderful story called Tootie Pie. And Virginia and Susan brought that thing to film, to the big screen. And I got to tell you, that's the kind of energy, the kind of effort, the kind of sensitivity that's going to make all of us better. Because when we realize that we're all part of one kingdom, one family, the human family, then we start to work together. And where there's unity, we can do anything. We can achieve anything. So that's a wonderful, wonderful tribute, I think, that Virginia showed her intention. And again, let me say about Vivian, too. I mean, North 182nd, we would not have been able to do what we're doing without the help of Northwest Film Forum, the nonprofit arm that is collaborating with us. We would not be able to do what we're doing. And so, Vivian, kudos to you. Thank you so very much. And we're very, very, very honored to be a part of this effort tonight as well.
Hey, I go back to Tootie Pie too, man. I second that, man. I met Charlie Armstrong on Tootie Pie.
That's right, our brother.
Yes. So Tootie Pie, man. I mean, that opened up a whole lot down here in Tacoma too, right? Tacoma and Monroe, we were all over, I think.
Yeah, we were everywhere.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
no doubt. Shout out to Rosalind Bell too. No doubt.
All right. Well, we are sadly out of time. We will have to kick this off on a side show. You know, Cleven and I were talking about having our own radio program on Rainier Avenue Radio. Winfield, you are invited. Virginia, you're invited.
I'd love to be
Vivian, you're
down.
invited.
I'd
Chris,
love
you're
it.
invited. I thank you all for being a part of this. I do want to shout out Vivian as well, the Northwest Film Forum, because they have been a fiscal sponsor of one of the films you're going to see tonight called Black June. So stick around. After this program, we're going to go right into a couple of films of mine, Malik and Black June. I got a 40-minute cut to show y'all. So, you know, I think we can keep the panel going after the break if you want. If not, I'll be here. And so you can sit back and enjoy the show. To the audience, thank you for viewing and listening in. We will see you again. You reach out to Tony B and you say, get that brother Anthony Tackett back on the mic. He was okay. His guests were better.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right, y'all. Stay blessed. Take care.
Everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.